Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're out at the range and we want to talk about something that most collectors should consider. If you consider yourself a collector, you need to buy collectibles when you see them. And don't wait until they go off the market to buy them, because then you're going to pay ridiculously high prices. Today's video is about two modern collectible rifles. Two rifles that were readily available just a couple of years ago, which are now no longer being imported by their manufacturers, and now their prices are skyrocketing on auction sites and classified ads across the internet. The two guns I want to talk about, first one is the IDF model Tavor. Now, some people mistook what I said on Instagram about the IDF model to mean that all Tavors are currently not being imported. Now, it is true that IWI has announced that they plan to stop importing the Tavor in favor of the X95, but currently the standard full pick rail Tavor is still being imported and is still available for now. They will shut off that flow probably sometime in 2018, and the X95 is going to be the only Tavor-like product on the market. The X95 is the evolution of the Tavor. The Tavor came out in 2000. The X95 came out as a replacement for that rifle in the IDF. And so this is yesterday's technology. The X95 is the new and improved version. Well, this particular model, the IDF never sold very well. And IDF stands for Israeli Defense Forces. This is a rifle that's a replica of what you would find an Israeli soldier using over in Israel, right down to the Meprolite M21 sight, which is a huge piece of junk in my opinion, but they used it, and this is what the IDF rifle would have looked like. What's interesting, and I've seen people speculate about what this is, and some people obviously know what it is, but we're going to talk about what this area back here is that looks like a suction cup behind the flip-up sights for the backup sights. So this is one rifle we want to talk about. And then another one that's kind of near and dear to my heart is the Combat Tuna. This rifle is actually used by a few countries. Some of the, like I think Saudi Arabia adopted it in some capacity. What I found out to be really interesting when I was in Slovenia touring the RX factory, I found out that the Slovenian military actually uses the F2000. Not too many militaries use it though, and it was not what I would call a success here on the US market, and FN is no longer importing these rifles or selling them, and they're now skyrocketing in price. Now, the one that I'm holding right here is the military version. If I can get my hands on an original military version, or as close to original military version of a particular gun, that's what I'm going to hone in on, and that's why I wanted this particular rifle. It has the integrated 1.5 magnification optic into this area here. If you ever played, oh gosh, what was that name? Sam Fisher. Sam Fisher, the character in the video game, actually carried an FS2000 or an F2000, which I always thought was kind of cool because I played the video game. And anyway, this is just a cool space age looking rifle that never caught on. It was very expensive, as most FN products are, but this particular model was dropped first because of slow sales, because of the integrated optic, and it was replaced by this one for a while, which has a pick rail across the top. And yes, I have an old school EOTech I never sent in for repair. It also has the FN lower quad rail, or actually tri-rail, replacement handguard here and a vertical forend grip. This one's my tactical one, right down to the fact that it uses a horrendous old school sling that was made for these things. But these are off the US market now as well. So all the FS2000s, both the, I don't think they call this the tactical model or something like that. That was the military, the classic model, and this was the tactical model or something like that. They got rid of the original military version very quickly because nobody wanted that sight. And then these were the only ones that did sell when they could sell them at their rather high price. And now, like I said, they're all off the market. So we're going to shoot these rifles, have some fun with them, show you some of the differences between them, and just talk about in general what I've just opened this video with. If you're a collector and you're looking to collect military type rifles, and this is especially true with milsurps, buy them when you see them and get them as soon as you can, because that's when the prices are the lowest. The minute they go off the market, the prices start to creep up. Look at SKSs, look at Mosin Nagants, look at FN 49s, look at all the Mausers and the Enfields and all the stuff that has come in the last 20 years that used to be dirt cheap that now commands, you know, 4, 5, 10 times the original value of the guns from back in the day. All right, I've done enough talking. I need to load up some magazines. It's cold. Winter is here, guys. All these wonderful colors on the ground means that soon the snow will fly. And so maybe if we get lucky and have a deep snow this year, we'll do a Tommy gun video and we'll bring them all out and bury them in the snow and just have a good time. It's kind of a tradition here at the Military Arms Channel. Okay, let's load up some magazines, have some fun. Right now, guys, we're under attack by YouTube and pretty much any other social media platform. But YouTube has really been aggressive lately in targeting gun channels and channels that feature knives or airsoft or have a conservative viewpoint, a talk show. They have not only demonetized us, yes, you're seeing ads run in front of some of our videos, but we're not being paid fairly for those ads. Our revenue, all of us, across the board, down as much as 70%. And that's the case here at the Military Arms Channel. They are probably just trying to make us go away by taking our money away, but we're not going away. So now they're ratcheting up the pressure. This last week, many gun channels and conservative talk shows and knife channels have account strikes being given. If you're wondering where my political commentary video was telling you to oppose HR 399, where is it? It's gone because YouTube took that video down and said that it was against community standards for me to have a political commentary asking you, our viewers, to actually be active politically and to oppose a bill that threatened our liberty. To them, that's offensive hate speech or something because they took the video down and struck my account again. Guys, we get 3 strikes and we're out. We can never come back to YouTube. So we really need your support right now. Let YouTube know that you're not happy with what they're doing, but also many channels, especially in the firearms community, are moving over to Patreon. And over at Patreon, we're funding over there through crowdfunding, through you guys. We're not taking corporate sponsorships. We are 100% fan supported right now at the Military Arms Channel. And to our Patreons, I say thank you. If you want to become a Patreon supporter, swing by. The link's down below. We give away all sorts of cool stuff like t-shirts from Forged from Freedom. We'll talk about that. We have ammunition that Freedom Munitions gives away. $200 worth of ammo, $100 to 2 lucky winners. That's just some of the stuff that people that support us are doing. Free t-shirt giveaways, ammo giveaways. Copper Custom does blowout deals, way below map pricing on really cool stuff. As a thank you to our patron supporters, we post original content, behind the scenes information, and we also support other gun channels that are over on Patreon. You can see the list of gun channels that we support at the Military Arms Channel. I ask that you not just support the Military Arms Channel, please spread that around to the content creators that you also consume their content and enjoy. It's the fair thing to do. But there's another cool way to support the Military Arms Channel, and Forged from Freedom is making shirts like this one. Now guys, 40 sucks is a joke. Some of you guys get pretty twisted around the axle when I wear this shirt, but it's just a joke. 40 is a fine caliber, but we have all sorts of cool, funny shirts that we're constantly changing and updating. Forged from Freedom does do t-shirt giveaways. We'll do 5 shirts a month to 5 lucky winners, but you can also pick up your very own t-shirt by going to the link down below and following it and picking up some shirts. It really does help support us again here at the Military Arms Channel. Thanks a bunch, guys. Stay in the fight for our rights. So this gun has always been one of those rifles I've been fascinated with. The FS2000 is about as space age looking as you can get in terms of a modern bullpup rifle. By bullpup, I mean that the action is mostly back here, close to the shooter's face. This still has, with its muzzle device, a 16-inch barrel, but the magazine feeds in here, and the chamber's in this area right here, and the trigger group is in this area of the gun. It makes for a very short, handy package. Because of stupid US laws, it must meet an overall length requirement of 26 inches, which is why we have this goofy muzzle device that's pinned onto the barrel. Otherwise, the F2000 would have a slightly shorter barrel than 16 inches. This one has the top cover on it that is covering up a really goofy looking optic. It looks like a BB gun sight, but it's only 1.5 power. It has just a standard traditional European style post reticle that has a cross mark across it that kind of dips down around the post. It's designed, you know, basically for engagements from maybe 0 to 300, 400 yards. And so it's very small, compact. It is light. It looks big, but people call it the combat tuna. And I agree. It looks like a tuna. It doesn't look very ergonomic, but it actually pretty much is. You know, this is how you have a thumb hole stock. The grip is at a kind of a strange angle, but when you put your hands onto it, it actually feels fairly good. This is a Savvy Sniper strap sling because these guns do not come equipped with QD mounts. So the Savvy Sniper will actually work because they offer them with the straps. I think they offered these to the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps is actually using them, so you can actually carry your combat tuna around if you want to while you're out in the field. And then if you want to use it, you just take your slider, give yourself some slack, and now your combat tuna is ready for some combat. All right, let's fire this bad boy. It does not lock open on the last shot fired. This is the actual mechanism inside the gun. When I pull the charging handle to the rear, you can kind of see the bolt moving. And what's really unique about this gun is how it ejects. It takes the spent casing, throws it into a tube, and up here is where the spent casing will come out of the gun. It has a port cover. And we've actually filled this thing with spent cases in the past, pointed it up at a slight angle, fired a live round, and it kicked all those spent cases out. I think it holds like 6 or 7 spent cases in there. Let's walk over here. Let's go this way so we can actually see our beater target, which we shoot at fairly close range. All right, there it is. So this is what's interesting about a bullpup. Even though I have it slung like this, I have enough slack to bring it up into my shoulder with this sling. Trying to load this thing can be a little bit of a challenge. Bullpups do have their trade-offs. They're small, they're handy, but they're also slightly awkward compared to a more traditional rifle. Charging handle is right here. You can lock the bolt open by pulling it back and rotating it up if you would like, and then you can slap it down, but I don't recommend doing that to these because the charging handles are plastic and they're known to break if you slap that charging handle around too much, so I just kind of let it go without slapping it. And the selector lever is right here in the trigger guard. If this were a machine gun, it would have a third position. We just have safe and fire. Fire's over. It's actually fairly ergonomic. And we should have about 20 rounds in here loaded of Freedom munitions. We're shooting their 193 ball, the Freedom Munitions ball ammo. Ow! See that hair? I don't know if you guys can see it. This thing is forever pulling mustache hairs. Yeah, so it's kind of like an M4 stock. It hurts, man. I got to keep my face back away from that port cover. All right. Ugh. Hands are cold, guys. It's getting cold out here finally. So as you can see, the bolt does not lock open on the last shot fired. Here you can lock the bolt to the rear and we can see inside the chamber and verify that the weapon's empty. That's what this little flip up cover does, and this is also what yanks my facial hair. So it's not meant for people with facial hair. All right, now let's grab the IDF model of the Tavor and show you guys how that little guy works. So this is my IDF model of the Tavor. As you guys know, this is probably my favorite bullpup. The X95 is supposedly an improvement over this gun, but I don't see it that way. Actually, I wish the X95 maintained the magazine release here that a lot of people complained about, which was, I've never accidentally released a magazine ever from any of my Tavors, carrying them slung, unslung, whatever. So I've always been a big fan of this because I like to strip my magazines out of guns. That trigger worked great. The magazine release in the X95 isn't where the AR-15's magazine release is. It's actually closer to the shooter's trigger. It has a big fence around it, so I have to break my grip to hit the magazine release, and I just hate it. What I do like about the X95 is the rail system out here that the Tavor lacks. This rail is not the most rigid. It's not in the best of places. It's at an angle, so it makes it difficult for using something like a WML light, which I like to use so I don't have wires running everywhere. But so if I could have the front end of an X95 and the rear end of a Tavor, the Tavor has a bigger stock. The X95 is kind of truncated and cut off and smooth. I just find this gun to be more ergonomic and more visually appealing, and I just like the function of it better with regards to the magazine release. So the charging handle's right over here. Unlike the FS2000, you know, this bolt will lock open on the last shot fired, or you can manually lock it open like I just did. This is your bolt release, which is kind of cool. So when you grab a full magazine, not quite full in this case, only 20 rounds, make sure those Freedom rounds are seated in the magazine. These are Lancer magazines. These Lancers, the L5s, are freaking awesome. This is what I'm using nowadays. And locks into my little IDF model just like that. When I push this button, chamber's around and she's ready to go. And then the selector lever is right where you'd expect it to be for a AR-15. Now, I am not a fan at all of the M21 sight. It's a tritium sight. It uses ambient light to adjust the brightness automatically of the little triangle, the chevron that it uses as an aiming point. And it's never the right adjustment level, it seems. If you're shooting from inside a room into a bright light outside, you're not going to be able to see the reticle because it's adjusting its brightness to the ambient light where you're at. And if you're shooting out through a window into a well-lit area outside, you basically don't have anything to look at. Conversely, if you're at a brightly lit area and you're shooting into a darkly lit area, the dot's just going to be blooming bright and it's not going to work for you. So that's just one of the things I don't like. I much prefer a red dot sight that uses a battery that has a 50,000 hour life, which means like 6 years of life, which is about the same amount of time that the tritium's good in one of these M21s, about 10 years. After 10 years, you have to take the sight and send it to Meprolite to actually have that tritium replaced. And God only knows how much that costs, and it will definitely mess with the zero of the gun. With a T1 micro or MRO or something like that, it's just a simple matter of putting a battery in and you're back in business and you haven't messed with your zero. Okay, enough complaining about the M21. I don't like it. So here we go. I'm going to fire off 20 rounds here at our little beater target. It's a challenge steel target, and we're only about 50 yards away. Don't do that, guys. Stay about 100 from steel. So I thought I had zeroed this thing the other day, but it seems to be shooting really low. You'll notice that even when it's mounted on the gun, it wiggles a little bit, and I think that's because the adjustment is under spring tension, kind of like a Spectre sight, an Elcan. But yeah, it's shooting low, so I was aiming just a little bit high. Change magazine out here. Now let's talk about what this is. So this suction cup looking thing serves a purpose. It's a mounting point for accessories for the IDF model of the rifle. So they could put night vision on here, or they could use a 3x magnifier, which I have been able to get thanks to my friends over at Optics Planet. They just sent this to me and said try it out. So they sent this over to me to play with. There's probably not that many IDF models out there, but if you have one, you want to pick one up, they do have them available over at Optics Planet. And yeah, I actually have a code down below that will give you a discount pretty much across the entire store, so be sure to check out that code. But yeah, so they donated this to me to play with, and let's see how it works. So basically, you have a horseshoe section here that slides over this suction cup looking thing. Then you have a pin which goes into this track and locks into place. So I'm going to slide it over that little horseshoe and just rotate it, and it'll click into place, and now we have a 3x magnification of the Meprolite M21 sight. And I'm going to try to get a picture of this and show you guys what this looks like, but the sight picture is pretty bad. You really have to have your face low on the stock, otherwise when you look through the magnifier, you're going to see two triangles or two chevrons, two aiming points, one right on top of the other one. If you take a casual look through it, it's blurry and not very defined. You have to push your face down, and then you'll see a very sharp triangle or chevron for aiming. So it requires you to get the exact same cheek weld every single time if you want to see a clear reticle. All right, so let's load up 20 more rounds. Now we have the 3x magnifier in place, and I don't know why. Oh, look at this, guys. So my strap on my Black Hawk jacket came loose, was going in the magazine well with the magazine, and I was wondering why I couldn't get the magazine into the gun. All right. Let's see if we can hit with this magnifier. It's also interesting to note that the 3x magnifier has kind of a bluish tinge to it. It is not using the color you're going to see through here is going to look quite blue or quite cold compared to what the actual color is of the target area that you're shooting at. All right, so it does work well. I mean, if you get your eye down low enough with glasses, it'll whack the glasses a couple of times, but I also have ape-like features and a, you know, mongoloid-sized head, so I have to crane my neck forward a little bit, but it works pretty good. You can adjust it to your focal for your eye. If you have any type of vision correction you need to do with, you wear corrective glasses, you can tune the ocular side to your eyes. But yeah, you got to keep your head down really, really low, but it does magnify 3 power. The image is nice and sharp. It just has that blue tint to it. So anyway, there you go. That's what the IDF model looks like, and that's what that suction cup looking area is for back there. If you want to take it off, there's a really tiny little clip right here. And so you're going to push back on this clip, and when you do that, you just rotate the optic off. I'd love to get my hands on the original night vision, but that's going to be impossible, so I just rotate it and then pull it off, and then I can stick it into my kit. Now, despite the fact that it is a little bit awkward, and if you don't have your face all the way down, you get a double reticle image, I still like this. It's small, it's handy, it's easy to stick into my kit. If I ever did want it, magnification, I could quickly put it onto the gun, and I would have that magnification. It's just as easy to take off. And it is called the MX3 from Meprolite. So if you have an IDF model and you're a collector like me and you want to put as many of the original pieces together as you possibly can, swing by Optics Planet, use a discount code below. I get no kickbacks from that code, but you can pick up one of these to finish out your collection. All right, I have to go warm my hands up, guys, because my hands are numb. Winter is definitely upon us.
The tactical tuna. What I love about this thing is it's so hideous, but it's so awesome at the same time. And it got the mustache on me as well. I really do enjoy shooting these things. What's kind of cool when looking for these things, you know, to make sure that nobody's messed with them, there's these little rubber strips inside of here that seal up the magazine. Always check that on these things to make sure somebody hasn't cut those out. But very cool.
So I know what you guys are going to ask me. Which one of these two rifles do I like better? If I had to get rid of one of them, which would it be? Now that's a tough question, guys. People always ask me, what's your favorite handgun? What's your favorite rifle? What's your favorite anything? Well, the fact is they're all my favorites, otherwise I wouldn't buy them. But if I had to pick one, and the criteria would be the most useful rifle that would give me the most benefit. Okay, so there's a couple of factors here. First of all, the Meprolite, the tritium will go bad in it, so I will lose that red dot sight at some point, right? So let's say Mepro goes out of business. It's not set up for a different type of sighting system. That would take the gun down, and I would have to be forced to use it with its iron backup sights, which it has. Let me show you. They're a little bit different than the standard Tavor. You have this little flip-up sight here in the back, and then you have the standard tritium front post. So you do have iron sights, so I could just use it irons only when the tritium goes bad and I can't get the gun serviced. From a pure functionality standpoint, I like the fact that this one locks open. I think the ergonomics are better on this one. The FS2000, these things are known for their reliability. They're a little bit awkward. I like the forward ejection, but I'm never going to just suddenly turn into a lefty, so that doesn't really matter to me. This one's a little bit lighter, but it's definitely more awkward. I think if I had to pick one or the other, I think I would go with this one of the two if I could only have one. But in all honesty, I would probably opt for not the IDF model. I would just opt for the standard model that's currently available that has the Picatinny rail running across the top, so I could put whatever sight I want on the gun versus being forced into this Mepro sight, which again I really don't like. So there you have it. Now let's just do some shooting with them both, because that's what I find fun. The Tavor just has the greatest recoil impulse ever. And I should point out that I've not even played with the trigger mechanism in it. This one has an unmodified military trigger in it, which means it has about at least a 10-pound trigger pull. I'm never going to mess with it. I want to keep it all original for collector's purposes. Now, the FS2000, it's fun to shoot. I don't think we pointed this out, but this is the magazine release right here, which is kind of cool. So if you beer can your magazines, when you go to take them out of the gun, you just grab the magazine like this and push up with your hand. That releases the magazine so you can pull it out. Now, Jason did point out the fact that this has little rubber skirts in there, and you can see where it's marking the magazine. You see where those wipes are hitting the magazine, and they're contoured to work with the NATO style magazine. So Lancer mags and things like that won't fit in this gun, which would be another reason why I would choose the Tavor over this one if I had to pick one or the other. Make sure that mag gets seated. You can check the internal mechanism there. There's nothing really to look at. And let's just have some fun with this bad boy. I do love the combat tuna though. And it's empty. Bolt does not lock open on the last shot fired. Another thing I don't like about the combat tuna. So now that I've fired them both side by side and given it lots of thought, this is the one I would choose if I had to pick only one. But thank God I can have them both, because I don't want to give up my combat tuna either. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed coming out to the range with us this afternoon, talking about modern collectible firearms and how they can be good investments. In another video, I want to talk to you guys about collecting old firearms, say World War I or World War II. World War II firearms are very popular, but there's also a lot of fakes out there, and I want to talk about that in a future video that I think you guys may find very interesting, especially if you're interested in starting up and collecting World War II firearms. We would like to thank you guys for supporting the channel. You've been awesome. Our Patreons have been awesome. Please be sure to swing by and check out Forged from Freedom to pick up some of the t-shirts that you see here on the channel, and also swing by and check out Copper Custom, which is our online store and another great way to support us here at the Military Arms channel. Now we're just going to finish off one more magazine, head home, get out of the cold, and do some video editing. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for all those years of support. We'll talk to you soon. Yeah.